black or white, male or female, rich or poor, gay or straight. What's the difference? Number 14 and number 41 are on a mission to improve the unity of the world, one person at a time. Welcome to the 14 and 41 Unity Show.
Hello, I'm Alexis Hornbuckle, number 14.
And I'm Matt Gersper, number 41. And we're different,
but made from the same stuff.
Yes, and we're happy to be broadcasting from WITV7 in the beautiful Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. And today we're going to do something a little different, because I never imagined, not in a million years, that I'd be involved in leading a grassroots movement to improve the unity of the world. I'm only here today with Alexis because I paid attention when the universe suggested it to me nearly 4 years ago in the fall of 2016. Actually, it was over 4 years ago. And I've hung on to that inspiration until it was ready to be turned into action. So today, 14 and I are going to tell you how this all came to be.
So Matt, why don't you share with us how the idea actually came from just, it's all in the woods, there's no real direction, and then all of a sudden we meet in North Carolina, and how did everything come about?
So it was back in September of 2016, and if you may remember, there had been quite a few cop on young black man shootings. And it was in the news in the United States. People were on edge back in those days, similar to these days. And in Charlotte, I think it was September 20th, Keith Lamont Scott got killed. And there were riots, there was protests and riots in the streets. The next day, September 21st, a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine from California, was at a conference down in Charlotte. And the next night, he was going to come up and stay with me at the house. And then the next day, I was going on a Make-A-Wish Trailblaze Challenge, 28 point some odd miles of hiking out in the wilderness. And so the shooting happened, the riots happened. My friend was involved. He was right down there in it. And the next day, we're all sitting on my deck talking about what the hell's going on. And why is this going on? It was just kind of on our minds. We were visiting also, but it was weighing on our minds. The next day, I took him back to the airport. We had lunch together. Again, we were talking about what's going to calm this divide. What could we do? And then I left him at the airport, and I went off on my hike. And so I was out in the wilderness hiking by myself for about 11 hours, and I wouldn't say I was like actively trying to solve the problem, but I was mindful of it.
Right.
And I started thinking, when in my life was race not an issue? And I immediately went to sports. And I said, and I went to high school, and before high school, almost all white community. When I got to college, it was mixed. And, but it was offense against defense, our team against their team. It wasn't, and I was competing against guys for my position, but nowhere did any of the divides of race or ethnicity or any divisions. It was all about we're working together. And so that started thinking about that, teams, sports, and all the good things sports does. And frankly, Alexis, I didn't really think of retired athletes for racial unity that I can remember. It just kind of came to me. Mm. And I thought, retired athletes for racial unity. That's great. Maybe we can get my friends that are retired athletes, we can bring other athletes in. And the idea was that we would just, hey, would you write a story about a time when race didn't matter, not in your athletic days? And we would collect essays. We would create a website, and we'd collect essays. And if we got enough traction, then we're book publishers at Happy Living. We could publish a book. Maybe we could raise some money, and someday we could host events where we could send athletes out into communities to talk about bringing the races together. And so that's how it kind of got started. I got off the trail. I called up my son, and said, hey, Kyle, buy up all the URLs we can get. Retired Athletes for Racial Unity, rafru.com. We've bought 3 or 4 others. They're only about $10 a piece because nobody knew about this. And that was it. That was 4 years ago. I was very busy getting Happy Living launched. And I put Rafru up on my board of things to do. And it just kind of sit there simmering in the background. But I was always mindful of it. If I found myself in a situation, I remember going to the airport, and an Uber driver was a former athlete and a coach. So I said, he might be able to help me. So I start chatting him up. And my philosophy has always been, I'll match your enthusiasm. So if that guy who was enthusiastic with me in his car, if he had followed up with me, I would have gone back with him and we might have got this thing, launched earlier. Mm-hmm. That was kind of my thinking. I didn't have time to do it by myself. I needed to watch and wait. I don't want your head to get too big. To watch and wait for the perfect partner. Man. And I waited and I waited and I waited. And then I think it was late summer, early fall. I don't remember exactly that infamous day at the Bank of America. But you were in front of me in line. You were dressed up, all up in, I can't remember the name of the school you went to.
Tennessee?
Tennessee, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dressed in all your Tennessee garb, looking fantastic. And I said, did you play for the University of Tennessee? And I think that's how we got started.
That's exactly what happened. I had, my Tennessee gear on. I had my Tennessee lanyard hanging out in my pocket because my keys were in my pocket. And you tapped me on the shoulder and you asked me, and I'm like, yeah. And then you started to share about Happy Living, actually. And we were trying to figure out how we can work together, with my AAU girls travel ball organization to expand past or outside of the court, really help them grow as young women. And that conversation led to, hey, I started something and I would love for you to take a look at it. And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'm saying this, I don't know this man. I'm like, yeah. I mean, he did what he said he was going to do. You followed up, Matt. You sent the email, we text, we exchanged numbers, and the communication never stopped. And for me, every time we talked about Rafru, or at that time, Retired Athletes for Racial Unity, I would get chill bumps. I would get excited, but then I would also get chill bumps because it's like, I'm literally this Black woman from West Virginia is staring at this white man who doesn't know her from anything, having an open conversation about how to help change the world one person at a time, help change hearts. I'm all about it. And that's why I was like, for me, Matt, that was a no-brainer.
Well, that's awesome. And I just got goosebumps too. So I think we went from there. We texted back and forth a bit. And then I think the next major step was you met over at my personal house. Yep. You and I and Sandra sat out there and we talked about Happy Living. We talked about your basketball camps and how we could do things together. And I think that's when we got into Rafru quite a bit deeper.
Right. That's definitely when that happened. We were sitting on the back and with that beautiful lake view, cup of coffee, big old cup of coffee. It was early for me at that time. And and it was like, hey, listen, we have an opportunity to do this. Like you shared with the audience, you already bought the URLs. You already, that the idea was already there. The seeds were already planted. You were just looking for that perfect partner, as you say, Matt. But someone who was just as passionate about this cause as you were, and someone who, like you said, you did match my energy, and I matched yours. We're very similar in that. Like when we're full go, we're full go. If you're over here and I'm over here, we'll get back together when we can go full speed ahead again. And to me, it was like, you know what? I need to hurry up and write my story. I need to write my story and make sure this is something that he really wants to hear and wants to put out into the world. Reading your story, and then of course we're still waiting on Sandra's story, but Derek's story, and just seeing how quickly that momentum began to build with just our network, just yours and mine. So that kept my excitement growing. Like, even if when I had to do more basketball things, I was always in the back of my mind thinking, what's next? How can I add? What do we need? How can we grow? How can we get this to more people? How can we get more stories? And you're on top of it 10 times more than I am. So now it's like, all right, Matt, where we at? Who we talking to? What are we doing? So that's kind of where that meeting took me to.
So talk a little bit about your feelings when you went to sit down and write your story. Because you're right, I had already had mine.
Yep.
And mine was just basically what I told the audience, how it all happened in the woods. And so mine really wasn't so much my athlete story. It was kind of like how RAFRU came to be, which was because I was an athlete.
Right.
Yours is more a traditional athlete story that we're getting from our guests. So talk about that process, what it meant to you, and when you got it out of you and on the page, and now it's sitting out there, in the world. Tell us just a little bit about that.
There was hesitation at first. We live in such a controversial world right now. Actually, honestly, we always have. But you don't want to piss somebody off, tick them off. You don't want to burn bridges, all because you want to really just get something off your chest. And it's a fact, and it's a personal experience. But they may see it as, oh, you're over-exaggerating. I don't remember that happening, blah, blah, blah. And once I really said, you know what? If I can't do it, how can we expect other people to come outside of their comfort zone, really share stories that are relatable to other athletes that are current or retired, or even just young and up and coming athletes or parents, to encourage them to put their kids in sports. What the benefits of sports is, and without that, I can't be a part of this movement, So when I decided to finally start to write, I felt like a big relief come over me, like a weight was lifted off my shoulder. Growing up, like I mentioned before, in West Virginia, my story was really about being a young Black girl playing soccer, and there was only 3 of us on the team. I had to talk to my friends in the plane because I didn't want to be the only Black girl on the team. And we were at a school called Riverside, kind of in the country, and a very racist place. And they dropped the N-word, in the game. And it was just crazy. But to see the reaction from my coaches and my teammates and our parents, like, they have my back and our the other players' backs. Like, no, you're not going to talk to our teammate. You're not going to talk to my player like that. You're not going to talk to our kids like that. And I got chills right now. But to see that and feel it, it took away the fear and anger, not completely, but a lot of it in that moment. But after it, when the dust settled, I was able to focus on the kindness and not the hate.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And that, for me, that's what's so exciting about what we're doing, is we're not just having important conversations, and we're not just letting people dip back into their rich history of life and pull out something that can address controversy, but do it in a protected environment, right? With the outcome that, we're saying, don't tell me about how things were really awful and there was no way out, because I don't think we believe that there is a way out. Tell us how you got out of it and how you worked your way through it. And what we're hearing very often is, it's almost like, well, I'm better because of this, and the world can be better because of this.
Right.
And we're capturing those things that we can share with others and hopefully lift others. So it's very exciting. Why don't we take a quick break? Does this be a good time? And then, okay, let's take a quick break. And I'd like to tell everybody about 3 things, if you don't mind, Alexis. Would that be okay with you?
Absolutely.
I want to tell them why I love all natural, toxin-free dry farm wines, how they can get an extra bottle for a penny on their very first subscription order, and how their purchase will support a great big donation from Happy Living to WITV7, our host. Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made by good people. That's why I love Dry Farm wines. I first met the man known as the healthiest wino on the planet back in 2016. He said his wines don't cause headaches or hangovers, and that he started his company because most wine consumed in the U.S. is highly processed and loaded with unnatural nasties. Like most processed food, it's toxic. That very night, I made a big health decision. Toxic wines out, natural wines in. It's been 4 years since I made the switch, and I feel great. Go to happyliving.com and select Partners in Happy to get your first bottle of natural wine for a penny. And I'll donate 8% of every order placed during the entire month of November to WITV7. Share the gift of natural wine and pour some love this holiday season.
Hey, welcome back to the 14 and 41 Unity Show. Thank you again to our sponsors, Dry Farm Wines, as well as Happy Living for the month of November. Now, Matt, now that we're back and you gave everybody kind of that background, the base, the foundation of where it started, how you and I met, and where we're at now. Can you tell them what RAFRU stands for?
Yeah, so our approach is really simple. We want to share unity stories from retired athletes of a time when, when common goals, shared work, team spirit of sports increased unity and reduced race as an issue of importance. You can think of a time when character and trust mattered, skin color didn't. We made the change from racial to radical, you mentioned that, Alexis, so as to include gender and sexuality, socioeconomics, political, other differences. So anything that divides us, we want to try to work on how we can overcome that. And it's important for people to know that this is simply a platform for sharing the powerful voice of retired athletes, our stories, our resolve to erase racial and other dividing lines and bring our country and the whole world together. And we say with acceptance of difference, right? With a gentle touch. We don't seek to boil the ocean and solve every problem. We just hope to change one heart at a time and then another. And probably one of the most important things to say so people are aware, this is not a political organization. We don't intend to take a stand or take a knee or make any big issue of the political issues that tend to divide our country and our world today. We want to talk about athletes, unity stories, and try to pick from them things that can help others take a step away from division and towards unity.
Absolutely, Matt. I think it was so appropriate. Who decided that change? Was that John that first brought that up to us?
John.
Yeah. And we're like, makes sense. And
yeah.
I just took an already great idea and just made it even better. But I just want to say publicly, thank you for including me. Thank you, for allowing me to be a part of something that you've been thinking on and wanting to manifest for so many years. And I mean, it truly is an honor.
Oh, thank you, Alexis. That means a lot to me. And I think we're doing good. So let's tell everybody a little bit about our logo design contest. And when you had your collection of friends at the Happy Living House, and I came over and we were putting designs up on the big screen TV and everybody's getting to weigh in. So take us to the design of the
RAFRU
logo.
Yeah, I love it. I love the logo. We did a contest. We had a couple options. You were gracious enough to allow us to use the Happy Living home, and it was probably about eight people.
Mm-hmm.
8 people.
Who was there? Tell me, because I don't remember. I just met everybody.
There was Damien Argret, who was also a guest on here before. His wife Bria Argret. There was Sandra.
Their baby was there, but still inside a mama.
Yeah, the baby was unborn. How crazy is that? Baby was unborn. Derek Furlow and his wife, Amanda Furlow. Derek's also been a guest.
Yeah.
And Chris, Big Chris. Oh, man, I'm losing Chris's last name. Oh, he's going to kill me.
Big Chris.
Yeah, Big Chris. And
Chris.
Ironically, most of us there were, we went to school at the University of Tennessee and played football, basketball, all that good stuff. And others were associates. And we have it up on the TV, right? We're casting it from the computer to the TV. I'm like, all right, guys, Matt, I gave Matt the mic, tell him what it's about. And I'm like, okay, now it's time to pick the logo. What do y'all see? Or, what goes with our theme and our mission? Mm-hmm. And they gave really great input and unanimous decision, really.
When this one went up on the screen, it was like, boom, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Don't show me anymore.
It was. I mean, look at it. It has the sports: basketball, baseball, soccer, football, volleyball. It has all those sports in there in one with the peace sign symbolizing love. It was just I love it. I already have gear that I love to wear around.
Tell them what Jamel said about the soccer.
What's
soccer ball?
Oh, and she said the soccer is number one where it's supposed to be, but I don't know if that was purposely. I don't know.
I think we need to write her name right on there.
She should sign it. She should definitely sign it.
That's good. All right, so that's awesome, and so that was back in May. And the other thing that happened, we were just getting ready to launch the website. We didn't get it done until like August, but then another amazing thing happened, and folks. So many things have happened as we've been bringing this to life that have just been easy and often unexpected, right? It's just kind of clicked so far, knock on wood. And one of those things was I was reading an email. WITV7 was looking for broadcasters, and I got to be honest with you. I said, "What is a broadcaster?" Because I was kind of thinking, they're the ones that do the work of broadcasting, not the content. So I didn't think of myself as a broadcaster. I thought, I wonder if my podcast that I do something significant would qualify. So I reached out to Libby at WITV7. I said, hey, would you be interested in having something significant show on your 2020 lineup? And she said yes, and that was great. So great news for me. And I was just moving to get more back into my podcasting. And then we started talking, and I said, hey, we're doing this other thing called Retired Athletes for Radical Unity. Do you think that could be a show? And she just flipped over it, so much so that I wasn't sure I was going to get something significant on. And then one other thing happened that was amazing. You mentioned you had got your story out, which you had. I had your story. I'd read it for a while. My story was out. My son was building our website. And we were getting ready to go live with the website. And I said, hey, Alexis, I need your athlete pick because I hadn't seen your picture yet. And we've decided we're bringing our athlete pictures up underneath the stories so all of us old timers can reflect on our days in our vigorous youth. And it's a lot of fun. And so she sends me her picture. I see it in the email. I open it up. Boom. It's Tennessee. I was expecting that. And it's 14. And I immediately said, 14 and 41, different, but made from the same stuff. And so that's another one of those things. I didn't think of that. It just came to me. WITV7 had just said they want a show. And so that's how we came to name the show 14 and 41 Unity Show.
Yeah, it was awesome. And it made sense. I wish my mom would that was so clever. It was like instant. You text me back immediately, like right after you got the picture. And it was and I was like, yeah, that's amazing. Then you sent the picture over of the logo, or not the logo, I'm sorry, but a picture of your jersey and my jersey. And then we are different, but made from the same stuff, and that orange and blue. And I was like, this is exactly what it needs to be.
Yeah, that was awesome. And so it took us still a little while from there. We got our first athlete guest in September, September 9th, and we interviewed him. And it was Freddie Jackson, great. And I forget exactly how we came to get our bumper music, but Freddie does that kind of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said, hey, if you guys, if you want me to do a voiceover for your bumper music, I'd be happy to do it. And I said, okay, that's great. That's free. And so one night I remember laying in bed, and oftentimes I'll just be thinking of things. And I wrote this down. It came to me. I wrote this down. What's the difference? Black or white, male or female, rich or poor, gay or straight? What's the difference? 14 and 41 are on a mission to improve the unity of the world, one person at a time. And it's in my notes. I sent it off to Freddie, and then we get this boom, beautiful bumper music coming in. And he's the only episode that didn't get that music. So thank you, Freddie, for that.
That's true. That is true.
And what did you think when you heard his rendition?
When you sent it, the energy in his voice, I loved it. I played it back. I think he did like 3 different ones, but he had the same energy on all of them. And I was like, yes, this is perfect, because they're getting the message. They're hearing it. The music kind of captures them, but the message comes through so strong, the way that his voice projected over top of the music. So I loved it. I was on board from the beginning with that one. I was like, okay, all right, Freddie, I see you.
Yeah, it was really great. And he's one of us. So that makes it even more special. And he's already referred a guest, one of his friends. So that's awesome. And that's how we hope the show will grow, is we bring a guest on, and now we can tap into his or her communities also. If you're listening to the show and you know an athlete that you think would be a great guest, please share RAFRU with them. Tell them it's an open invitation. Anybody that's got a good unity story and wants to improve the unity of the world, we would love to hear from you. We think more and more is going to be better. There's been so many amazing stories so far, hasn't there, Alexis?
Yes, everybody
blow your mind.
I know, Unique. You're just like, man, yeah, y'all go check it out.
All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I want to thank you also, 14, for being my partner. It's we're doing good, and I just love working with you. It's great. Why don't you take a minute or two and start closing down, give your thoughts, any closing remarks you want to give to the audience, and then I'll close the show out.
Yeah, Matt, thank you. I thanked you before, but seriously, I'm very thankful for what's happening. And I hope that, you listeners and viewers and followers of WYTV7 realize that what we're trying to do, like Matt said, it's not about, being a political campaign and this is what you need to do, this is what you need to believe. Only thing that we're asking is for you to share personal experiences where you have experienced or have been blessed to avoid racial situations due to sports, and share your story, because it can help someone that may be in that similar position right now, or give someone the courage to bring up their own story to help someone else, that they know of. And if we continue to do this, we will be a platform with instant kindness, and you can reflect, you can grow as an individual, you can meet and network other people, you have a chance to support other people in what they're doing, because a lot of our guests have their hands in other nonprofits or community-based events. And this is exactly what RAFRU is. And I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm happy to be, that WYTV7 has allowed us to use their platform. And Matt, I'm just ready to continue to consistently build this thing with you, man.
Right on. I'm super excited. It's a lot of fun. And now we're calling on you out there. If you're hearing my voice and you are inspired by this show, please donate what you can to WYTV7. It's a wonderful 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Thank you, 14. It's a great pleasure to be working with you as my partner to do our small part to make the world a better and more united place. So much fun. And thank you, WYTV7, for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep sharing amazing stories from retired athletes from every walk of life, all of us working together to improve the unity of the world. As always, a special thank you to our sponsors for the entire month of November, Dry Farm Wines and Happy Living. Remember, folks, I'll donate 8% of every order placed during the entire month of November, so share the gift of natural wine and pour some love this holiday season. And most especially, thank you to our viewers and listeners. Go to rafru.com to read the ever-growing library of inspiring unity stories. Read them, love them, and share them with others. And lastly, from Alexis and me, we love you and we want you to be united, not divided. We do what we do at Retired Athletes for Radical Unity to inspire you to join our movement to improve the unity of the world, one heart at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the 14 and 41 Unity Show. And we're out, 14.
Black or white, male or female, rich or poor, gay or straight. What's the difference? Number 14 and number 41 are on a mission to improve the unity of the world, one person at a time. The 14 and 41 Unity Show.